I'm here today with Amy Pettit, who has recently finished the Powerful Presence program and is going to let us know a little bit about what the experience has been for her. So, Amy, welcome. I wonder if, in order to get us started, you would say just a little bit about yourself, about your work, your life, anything you want to share?
Yeah, so my name is Amy Pettit, and I am a toddler mom, and I am also really a bit early in my career as a business owner. And so I was really, really excited to find solutions, find a community that could really connect me where I'm at. I'm also wanting to speak more. I focus a lot
Mhm.
on brand strategy and accessibility. And so finding a way that I could tell my story in a very calm way, when
Mhm.
usually I was very maybe too excited, and not focused during speeches. And so
Mhm.
I've been trying to hunt for a few solutions or courses or ways that I could really hone in on that. And then I found out about Grace and all the amazing work she does.
Great. So you've mentioned at least three contexts that were on your mind. Being a business owner, kind of new in that. Being a parent, parenting is a lot, right? So being able to parent in a way you like with a toddler, and then also this new frontier of speaking. So you mentioned a little bit, especially about the speaking challenges. Is there more you would say about the particular kinds of challenges you were facing in some of those other domains of your life before taking Powerful Presence?
Other than the
So, like
business.
as a business owner and as a parent of a toddler, what was the nature of some of the challenges that you faced when it came to presence?
So I knew awareness was key, but I felt like I was stuck in the awareness and had no clue how to release the negativity I was feeling or to have a framework or a way to get more energy in the moment. And that's a really tough place to be of, okay, I know I know what I don't need to be doing, but how do I get forward?
Yeah.
A lot of the times it was emotional, like getting frustrated about something, whether it be like, my toddler throwing a tantrum or my client throwing a tantrum. I feel like that's been those situations. Knowing I have to accommodate and cater for the people around me, but I also realizing now I also have to accommodate and cater for myself as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So it can feel like a lot when we're balancing everything that's going on the inside of us and also what's going on with somebody else and also what we hope to do and be and grow into. So it can be a lot. So then you heard about powerful presence. So what was your first reaction when you read the landing page or heard me talk about it? Were you skeptical at all? What was your response to that?
I think I connected well with the step towards action.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the books I read or the people that I've seen online, it's very much awareness, and then they might have like a very simple framework that, okay, if you just do this, then you'll be great. And it's like this isn't happening. So knowing that I could not only learn something, learn a framework, learn examples, but then I can also have a group that is learning with me and that I can really talk to and see different perspectives of it. I think that was really great to have that.
Yeah. Since I like that you said sometimes there's much more simple frameworks. Sometimes we hear about presence and people or books we read or things talking about presence simply mean keep your mind on what's going on in the moment or don't interrupt somebody else, listen to what they're saying. And that's a very basic level of I'm paying attention to you. But of course, in Powerful Presence, it was about so much more, including all the way down to the way we hold our subtle energy and our perception of things that are non physical. Some of that can be a little bit edgy or outside the comfort zone for some people. Did you feel that at all? Any kind of like, is it too weird?
When you connected it to science, I was there. I'm like, okay, great. This makes sense. What really got me connected with like, ooh, I want to dive deeper is the perspective I had on meditation before. It
Mhm.
was very much, okay, be as still as possible. If there's any thought, it is just a cloud. Like I felt like so much energy, and it was not something that I'm like, where does the comfort, when does that happen? I'm like, when is that happening?
Yeah.
Um, and so it was very eye-opening. Even I feel like I breathed into a bigger space because we learned about how we can t take up the bigger space and have a
Mhm.
field, and oh, everybody else has fields, and okay, like let's
Mhm.
I told you at the beginning how I went to this huge conference after, and it was like thousands of people. And knowing that I could really envision and envelop my own space and then accept other people have these space, and that, I don't have to drift and think about everybody else. So
Mhm.
it's a different shift. I wish more
Yeah.
people knew about it. And I think more people would meditate if if they knew.
Hmm. If we knew it could be easier, and it's not even all just about meditation, but even moment to moment, being able to as you now know, being able to navigate our lives and to modulate the amount of stimulation that we get. I know for a lot of us, going into a room with thousands of people can be so overwhelming and overstimulating. We might just feel kind of shut down, or we might feel agitated, or just not feel well, or whatever it is. It's so nice to know we can support our bodies and our nervous systems and our ability to really be completely available for whatever happens without being overwhelmed or shut down. So so in the parts prior to taking the program, was there ever a time where you were thinking, well, I know I need this, but was there any kind of like, I have this concern or this question about it? Did you have any of that?
It was the sense of I learned a lot about psychology and mental health
Mhm.
before all this. And there's some sketchy people out there that and so I have a background of marketing, and so I'm very wary of how people are using this content
Yeah,
and how respectful they are. And
yeah.
so I think the landing page, but also it's like seeing you on YouTube and seeing all the different ways that you handle questions really delved into honesty and vulnerability and that acceptance of there's so much out there, and yes, there's so much information, but that you can start here
Yeah.
and then we can work our way.
I'm glad you brought that part up. It's really precious to me, this feeling of well, I mean, I talk about it as sovereignty in the course, but making sure that everybody knows that the ultimate decider of whether or not something is good for you, whether or not something is true for you, is you. So I'm always urging people, don't believe it because I said it. Try it on, feel it for yourself, experience it. So we had a lot of experiences in the course right away from the very beginning, like very first class. People were experiencing things for the first time. So I wonder if you could reflect a little bit about what was it like to have experiences that you may not have had before, and to know that, oh, this is how I know it's true. Not because I read it in a book or somebody said it or I gave authority to somebody else, but because I know.
It felt like I was opening doors in my own field, my own existence that I kind of knew were there, but I just didn't respect enough to dive
Mm.
into. And it was great. I've always had trouble being consistent with
Mhm.
things, especially new things. But knowing that if I didn't if I didn't feel like there was an outcome or something the first time, it was okay. I'm going to try it again. I'm going to keep trying, and it was amazing realizing what different parts of my body, how they activated, how they were all connected together, how they reacted when I'm in environments with a lot of people, how they react when I'm by myself or with my kid. Um, it was amazing to be like, oh, like this is all of like this is so
Mhm.
interesting. And realizing that I wasn't like I keep going back to respect, but that I wasn't like investing that time and respecting my own essence that way that I should have.
Mhm. It's really powerful. I'm really moved by what you say, that I realize there's so much more to me than I knew before, and I wasn't respecting, or maybe I suspected it was there, But I actually hadn't thought of it that way when you're saying, like, I actually didn't respect what I knew about myself enough to access it. What do you think might have kept you? Like, why would you not have respected that? What do you think kept you from accessing what you suspected might have been there?
Initially, it's always that sense of, oh, I'll do it later. Or, like it's always there. So,
Yeah.
I'll be the toddler mom, I'll be the business owner,
Mhm.
I'll be like it's always there. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, we're always doing the most urgent thing right in front of us, and oftentimes the thing other people need from us.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so then you signed up for Powerful Presence and you went through the 12-week program with us and had all the experiences. So, what's different for you now?
A whole different perspective. Um, I think it's a whole different perspective, but the scaffolding is there to support that perspective,
Hmm.
which I think will really help me build onto the future instead of going, oh, I just did this course. Okay, I listened to it. Okay, it's done. It felt really tangible. It felt like it really stuck.
Hmm.
It also was wonderful because I feel like even if I know I think you said one of the meditations is 20 minutes or 8 minutes and it can take whatever. Um, for me now it's a sense of, well, I can do this, when I'm driving, or I can do this when I'm waiting for my toddler swim class, or um, it's a sense of, oh, not pushing it away, but that integrating it into my everyday.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I think one of the ways that becomes possible for us, even though your life is no less busy now than it was before, right? You don't have any more time than you had before. But when we step away from learning something as book knowledge, when we intellectually try to learn things, then it's sort of like it takes up a certain amount of space in our brain and it becomes a thing on our to do list that we need to
Hmm.
do next, or we need to add it to our already busy day. What I'm taking from some of what you're saying is you expanded your conception of how you experience yourself. So it was just a bigger self showing up with a new set of tools and skills for how you show up. So it wasn't like you're doing more, you were just doing it from a bigger place and with more mastery.
Yeah, and getting the energy from that. I think everyone's craving more energy in that way. When it's there, you just gotta you gotta make space
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah. Are there any, you gave us an example of that big meeting you went to with the thousands of people. Are there any other examples you can think of where you applied practically in your life some of what you learned and it went differently than it might have before?
I have two. I have one personal and then one business. I'll do the business one first,
Mhm.
but I think we only had like 2 or 3 weeks left in the program, and I told Grace, I'm like, okay, I am going to be speaking to at an event, and I would love your support and help with, navigating this. And, it was only like 30 or 40 people, but it was very important because it was getting recorded. And so I knew I had to be very aware about what I was doing. And I went to Grace and I was like, I have the notes, I have the PowerPoint, like I have all this stuff. I'm like, I practice it, I know the timing, all this stuff. And she very graciously went through like, okay, let's think about walking up and going into the event. What's your energy like? What are you going to be focusing on? And then, okay, you're going to be networking. Okay, you're going to have a little break before your speech. So it was amazing going through and really visualizing that. And then after the event, I told Grace I had like a nightmare before the, the speech, and she was saying, "It's just your brain trying to vent." I'm like, "Okay, that makes sense." But speech went well. I didn't even look at the notes. It was really great to actually look at the crowd. I usually never do that, and really like holding my own space, but even like making it larger than I even thought I could. Now it's great. Before I was a bit angsty or anxious on speaking, and now I'm like, okay, there's a flow. I know there's a cadence, there's a formula, and I can make it my own. So that was the business one. And then the personal one I really love, and we're still doing it, is I can't remember if we called it rituals or not, blessings. So my family does a blessing now before we eat, and we just go, "Thank you for the food." Like we're just like just have this like joyous little moment. And even when I forget, my husband will do it. Like, "Oh yeah, like this is great," or my kid will do it. And so this little like feeding our own souls and feeding that moment is just it brings us all back, which is great.
Oh, I love hearing those personal stories. You know, each person who goes through this program applies it in their own way to whatever their particular challenges or opportunities or contexts are. And something that I loved about I didn't know about the blessing one, that your family has taken it on, and even your husband is on board now. But the professional one with the speaking, I remember you talking to me about that before, and how your approach to it was, and the joy you felt afterwards when it went so well. And so much of that shift was because with the small size cohorts that move through this, we're able to do so much one-on-one personal feedback and support and integration that I think you got something perfect for you that was different than the others in your cohort got. They got what was perfect for them. So everybody gets to kind of be present to what it is that's the growing edge for them, or the place where they're beginning to open and bring their own essence forward. What I saw in you is you moving from referencing the external, the PowerPoint slides and what other people might think, and the fact that it's recorded, and all of that, into just being fully present with yourself and speaking in your own authority from your known truth and from your lived experience and wisdom. And that's so compelling. And you did it in connection with other people in relationship, which is part of your essence. You're such a warm, relational person. So that was just you and the brilliance of your powerful presence. Well, that was a great example. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there one or two things that you've made part of your life? You've spoken about several of them, but or a couple of them so far, is there anything else you would mention that you would strongly encourage other people to consider learning about or doing themselves?
I loved the cords and tethers. I'm a very visual person, and when I catch myself in the past or the future, and now I envision actually having a tie to it, it feels more tangible. Like, oh, I'm putting this much value in this instead of being present right now. That really, really helped me out. It also it's so fun thinking about how everybody does this all day long and you're like
Yeah.
okay, there's not just an awareness, but there's that next step that you can be control. um that and talking to your own truth or your own self, or having those moments of reminding yourself verbally that this is you, this is not you, these are your boundaries, this is where your tethers are right now, like without expending all that energy. I think that was the beautiful part of, okay, I'm aware with this, I'm envisioning all these things, but it's that energy is more than me.
Mm-hmm. So you're referencing, just to say a little more for the people who haven't yet been exposed to this kind of material, you're referencing the capacity to perceive subtle energy, which I talk about subtle energy being the palpable form that our consciousness takes. So we communicate information in ways that we can actually feel from other people. So when you're talking about fibers and cords, you're talking about the energetic form that we can sense and feel and be impacted by, of our having left our awareness in certain places, maybe inappropriately, or maybe for too long, or maybe in ways that we're trying to meet a need in a way that is actually not working for us, is costing us something. The need is legitimate, but we might be going about meeting it in a way that's not really working for us, or really in integrity in our relationships. So we did so much cleaning up of what we do with our attention unconsciously, and therefore how we hold our energetic dynamics in a way that's really good for a relationship and puts everybody back in responsibility for themselves, all adults. and just sets us up for really healthy interactions that don't drain us, but keep us whole. And the me, not me that you're talking about, that is transforming when we begin to notice when it is that we're carrying ideas, conditioning, identities that we've gotten from the outside that really aren't the essence of what we are. They're things we've taken on and then lived into the limits of. So there's a lot of liberation. So I'm hearing you talk a lot about the aspects that are really liberating, and that allow us to express the truth of who we really are in a much bigger way, and even to know it ourselves sometimes for the first time. I'm really glad that that had that kind of impact in your life. Okay. Is there anything that you experienced in this program or that you got from the experience that you didn't expect, that surprised you?
I really liked learning about, and I might get this wrong, but the different styles, whether that be leaving or there I know there were four of
Oh,
them.
yeah. These are I call them the architecture of presence. These are the patterns that there are five stereotypic patterns that we all use one or two of that take us out of presence and into some kind of self protective ways of engaging. So you were going to say that that surprised you.
Yeah, it's a language. Like again, I learned about psychology. I knew, people preference of thinking versus feeling, everybody gets their own preference, but knowing that those reactions, how people deal with their emotions, and that there are combinations that reflect on each other differently. Again, it keeps you open of not everything's so rigid, it's that ability to let go too of
Yeah,
assumptions of, oh, well, I thought this person didn't like me, or, it's just really letting go of that. It's helped me with my conversations with people a lot.
not bad. You know, the to say a little more for those who haven't been introduced to these patterns, this is all based on the idea that the the foundation for how our mental and emotional and psychological ways of experiencing ourselves shows up is actually more subtle than any of those things and happens faster than any of those things. So we can say that the subtle energy, which is the transmission of your consciousness and of your essence, is primary to the expression of your thoughts and your feelings. It happens first, and it is the foundation upon which your psychology and your personality and your thoughts and feelings are all built. So we're used to trying to intervene on dynamics and things that we're creating through our thoughts and feelings, like I'm going to have a better attitude, or I'm going to gain mastery in communicating that way, or I'm going to, whatever. We have all kinds of ways that we try to intervene on that. And those work sometimes, but not always for very long. So we tend to revert into old ways of doing things where people are still, sometimes we're doing everything quote unquote right. And people are still responding to us in ways that don't make sense, or they weren't what we intended. And we might be really puzzled by why that is, until we begin tuning our awareness to be able to perceive in ourselves and in others a more fundamental way that our energy fields or energy systems learn to coordinate or organize themselves in the presence of a lot of stimulation. And that energy dynamic that gets set up, there's interactions, as Amy was saying, between one person and another that sometimes run counter to what we're consciously saying, but they explain why we're having a particular impact or why other people have a particular impact on us. So when we learn to be aware of those things, as Amy has been, then we can begin to hold presence all the way down to the subtlest levels of our being. So we're holding ourselves open, present, and aware while still being protected. We don't need to rely on those. They're very primitive patterns we learn very, very early in life. We can be present and aware with all of our adult resources on board, protected, available, and making sense to ourselves and other people. So our relationships go a lot better. We have more harmony there. We also are more effective in what we do. We're accessing more of our resources. So it's a really powerful component that we introduced in this first program. Okay. Is there anything, if there's somebody watching here who's thinking, I don't know, I'm attracted to this, but I'm not sure it's for me, or I don't know if this is the right time, or is there anything you'd say to people to help them discern whether or not this is right for them?
I'd say if you have the thoughts of I'm aware, but I don't know what to do next. If you have those thoughts multiple times a week, you need support. You need you need assistance. And I was the same way. So yes, books are amazing. Yes, blogs and all this information is great. But having a cohort, especially one that's been vetted, like Grace did an amazing job making sure that like everybody was very clear about expectations and everything. Um, Having someone not only build a community for you to learn with, but also lead, I think is an amazing, amazing, amazing value. Way better than any book I've read, or um, I think also this program's a really good challenge for yourself. I think it's long enough where you're not going to really lose any time if you go into it. And I think it's paced really well where, we did bi-monthly it was monthly meetings and the course content was great. I think it was a really, really great pace and something that even someone who's a toddler mom and doesn't have time, I got in my headphones and I'm like learning as I go. It was an amazing experience. Definitely worth it.
I'm really glad. I'm glad you brought up the community part too, because I think that is really precious. Every cohort that comes through has their own character and their own personality, but it's always been a space where people feel really supported and witnessed, and we learn from each other in that setting. And people ask questions that maybe each of us didn't think to ask, but they're brilliant. And so we all get to learn from each other's experiences. So that's a really, really beautiful part of it. Great. Well, Amy, thank you so much for talking with me. It has been such a pleasure having you in Powerful Presence and just knowing you. And it's been so fun to watch your essence and really the spirit of who and what you are shine ever so brightly, with these tools on board, and to see you stretching in ways that you haven't before. So anyway, I'm delighted and so happy to have known you. So thank you for this conversation, and I look forward to what's next with you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Grace.
Here we go.